Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on WBTN AM Community Radio. Fidel, Moreno.
Susan Jameson.
And we are here live in the studio with you on this beautiful, hot, sunny summer day. So enjoy. I got to swim in this afternoon in our pond, spring-fed pond, and man, I was enjoying it. It was good. This morning, actually. Late this morning.
Well, it's glorious sunny out there, so take care of yourselves with this additional heat we have.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were talking about that, Susan, about some of the understandings about sun. I know that there was a documentary on the documentary channel, Eat the Sun, about solar gazing. I know that there is concern about the sun, but there's another school of thought, wisdom traditions, yogic traditions that say that the sun is good. We receive a lot of information from the sun. Native people look to the sun, Sundance, very powerful time, and those Sundances are going to be starting in August. So we want to remember our Sundance chiefs, Sundance families, Sundance brothers and sisters out in South Dakota and North Dakota, Montana, Arizona. But so here we are, and we've got an interesting show for you today. We're going to have Lori Hanau from the Global Roundtable Leadership. Very interesting and very positive action consciousness group that she's starting. So we're going to be really interested in talking to her.
Yeah, you want to stay tuned for this conversation. It's going to be, I think, very, very interesting, very empowering. And certainly we're aware that our world is going through some major transitions and shifts.
Mm-hmm.
So I know
Absolutely.
This woman has tremendous amount of information to share with us. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, I met her over at the Slow Living conference over in Brattleboro, Vermont, about a month and a half ago. She was facilitating the plenary sessions, large group sessions, and I was very impressed with her energy and her facilitation. We had a chance to visit over lunch, and so we visited a little bit before the show about a week ago, and I know she's real excited about coming on and sharing with her, and maybe some of her friends are listening. If you want to call in, feel free to call in at 802-442-2934 if you have a good thought or something that you want to share in response to the conversation.
You might want to say that number again.
Sure, 802-442-2934. Just want to let you all know, too, that we are fundraising here to buy new equipment at WBTN Radio. And Thunderhawk Ike Moses, First Flight CD, beautiful flautist, traditional native flautist. I believe he's Choctaw, is Osage. Nope, Osage, from the Osage Nation, provided these CDs, box of CDs to sell for $15, and feel free to come and pick one up at the station over here on 7A on the way to Shaftesbury, or if you're coming into Bennington, we're here from 2 to 4. Come meet us, say hello, and buy a CD. All proceeds are going to updating the equipment at WBTN Community Radio. Great radio station, so support it in a good way. Fidel Moreno.
Susan Jameson.
Good medicine. So some more music here, and I want to say thank you to everybody that's been supporting WBTN and especially listening to our show. Remember, we got the powwow coming up August 13, 14. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And we have another special guest possibly calling in, too, Lee Ann Brady, Native American Church singer, around 3:30, calling in from North Dakota. Anyway, here we go. Some indigenous, just can't hide. Nope, you can't hide anymore in these times. Be ready to show who you are. Identify. All right, we're back again. Just want to make a quick announcement. You're listening to Good Medicine. Fidel Moreno and Susan Jameson are your hosts for the afternoon from 2 to 4 every Friday. Just an important emergency announcement for anyone suffering from the heat without air conditioning, especially our elders. Please know and take note that the Red Cross has set up a cooling station at the Rescue Squad building, located at 120 McKinley Street in Bennington. It's open today from 2 to 7 p.m. and tomorrow from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And actually, you know what? Excuse me for that. I'm reading that from yesterday's message board. So it was open yesterday, but today it's open Friday from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. So remember to hydrate. And also, too, sometimes, wet a towel with cold water. Put it in the refrigerator, alternate, and put it around your neck. And it will relieve you, help you out, keep you cool like that. It is hot out. 97 is what registered in our car. So take care of yourselves. Hydrate, stay in the shade, and sit down, relax, take it easy. Listen to some good music. Robert Mirabal, Painted Caves. Okay, we are back. Fidel Moreno.
Susan Jameson.
On WBTN's Good Medicine every Friday from 2 to 4. We have our very special guest on the line. Lori, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, wow, you are loud and clear. This is Lori Hanau of the Global Roundtable Leadership. And Lori, we gave a little bit of an intro about what you're doing, and but thank you so much for joining us. So you warm out there? Is it warm in New Hampshire?
Warmth is not the
issue. Well, keep cool. Everybody's going to be keeping cool because it's going to get warmer, I think.
Yes, and hopefully we use our humor and our kindness and our patience, because we will need it in this heat. And so hopefully those will be some of the qualities that we use in order to stay balanced and cool even when we're hot.
Right. Well, it's interesting, the metaphor we're using, but it is heating up. Humanity is heating up, and so is everything else. So I know that you have a very powerful vision and mission with the Global Roundtable Leadership. Tell us a little bit about the Roundtable.
Absolutely. And I'm just wondering if before we turn there.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd love to just turn and say hello to Susan. Also, Susan, I know that this is just our first meeting, voice to voice, and yet I feel like I've met you a bit in my honor of meeting Fidel just a few weeks ago, and he just speaks of you so respectfully and so lovingly, and I just want to say what a joy it is to begin to meet you and to be on your show.
Well, thank you so much, Lori. Thank you. I'm looking forward to meeting you, too. I understand we share some passions about transforming our humanity and our world. So, I, too, feel the same way about you. Thank you so much for taking this moment and taking this time with us on the radio this afternoon.
Yeah. No, it's my honor and my privilege, really, to be here, and I'm so excited. And then, if it's okay, I also would just love to turn out toward the whole circle of us, whoever we are, but who are listening together in this space with each other equally, whether we're talking or whether we choose to call in at any point in this conversation, or whether we're listening. We're all here, in our full presence, and so I just want to take a moment to just shine a light on that awareness and to say, to offer that we consider that we're here not just individually, whether we're alone in a room or whether we're in an office with a group of people or wherever we may be, that we're having this individual experience, but we're also having a collective experience by listening in to this show and by caring to be here. And so I just want to invite all of us to show up with the best that we can, in ourselves, to bear on not only our own experience, but on the collective experience of this time together and this preciousness of this time together. And that we consider bringing our beauty and our goodness and our artfulness and our wisdom to bear so that we possibly leave this space even better than when we arrived in it.
That sounds really good. And I'm glad you're of that mind and spirit and heart, Lori, because I did let people know before we brought you on that if there were questions or people that wanted to participate, that wanted to ask you a specific question or some more understanding, they could give us a call. And you can call us at 802-442-2934 as we get into this wonderful conversation. So, Lori, let's do this. You come to this work. We all find ways, in different doorways, different roads that bring us to where we're at. So what was it that brought you, what was it that inspired you to create the Global Roundtable Leadership? Give us a little bit about your background. Now, I know you're from New Hampshire, right?
I am. I actually was born in New Jersey.
Okay.
But I've been in New Hampshire for 23 years.
All right.
And I've loved every moment of it here. And I was born in New Jersey, and also Connecticut was a big influence on my family. Growing up, we were fortunate to be able to spend our summers there. And there are a couple of different points I think that brought me to this work, and one goes back to when I was a child and when I would be playing out in the woods, particularly, but it happened also against the water and different places in nature. But in our New Jersey home, there were woods surrounding our house, and when I would go out to play, somehow in that beautiful, genius of nature herself, I would see connection everywhere and see the interconnectedness somehow very clearly of life, of the universe, I think, is what I was seeing. But of course, I don't know if I would have called it that as a child. It just was connection, and everything spoke to me. The wind spoke, and the trees spoke, and the rocks spoke, and so that had a profound effect on me. And as I aged and learned about indigenous cultures and different cultures and different ways of being, I began to discover other cultures that give a reverence or an honor to the intangible and to the spirit of life and to the connection of all things and to the energy, to that living energy. And so that has a big impact on me and definitely has influenced my viewing of thinking of us first as fully connected and fully whole within this universe that we are a part of, and that we are, a beautiful part of this universe and a reflection of the universe and of nature and of the genius of nature. And so that's definitely been a part of what's impacted my path and what I've been called to seek out to study and who I've been, called to learn from and to learn with, and then in those learnings were also, of course, the understanding of the multidimensionality of life. And so, I believe that there are these inner dimensions, and how we show up on the inside of ourselves, who we are on the inside, directly impacts the reality and the world that we create on the outside. And so the more I'm capable of looking in with honesty and courage and humor and at the fullness of myself and without shame, and without embarrassment, the more I look at the world without shame. And without embarrassment and without judgment, the more I can not look at myself without judgment. And so I want to say that that's been a very core foundation that's taken me to where I am. And then another piece I want to say is my family, and directly my father. And I'm so taken by the fact that this is my first radio experience. I'm in your hands.
Exciting.
And that my dad's company, Vermont Container, sits on Bowen Road in Bennington, Vermont. And he had 3 manufacturing companies, and he sold them to Connecticut Container about 12 years ago now, and he has since passed. But he was a wonderful entrepreneur and leader, and a rare leader. And today we have more terms, we have new words to discuss companies that are values-based, and we call them triple bottom line companies, and they're businesses that are focused on fair wage and fair profit and fair footprint on the earth, balance with the awareness of the earth and of people and planet and profit, fair profit. But those words weren't really around when he was running his business. But I was very fortunate in that there were 4 children, 4 of us. I've got two sisters and a brother, And for whatever reasons, I was the one who ended up joining him and learning from him and coming into our family business.
Where do you fall in that order? Are you the baby, the eldest?
I'm the baby of the girls.
That's what I thought.
There's
the baby.
three girls and then a boy.
Ah, okay.
And is the boy older?
He's 7 years younger.
He's the baby. Yeah, he's the baby.
He's the baby.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's 7 years, I guess, behind me in that linear, in
Okay.
that, of age. Yeah, and so I was so deeply impacted by going inside, working inside, within my father's company,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing the way he knew how to. He really saw the gifts in people, the natural gifts in people, and he was genuinely curious and genuinely loved people.
So he valued people. He really valued people.
He did, valued them deeply. And then he had the great artful skill of knowing how to authentically meet that person and support their gifts coming forth.
Can I just mention something there?
Please.
Because I think that is what, as a humanity, we're needing to focus on, and that is relationship.
Yes.
But go ahead.
No, please stay in the river with me, because you're spot on. I mean, I don't know if there was ever a talk that he gave where he didn't say, ladies and gentlemen, may we never forget, it's not about the bricks and mortar. It's not even about the profit. It is always about the quality of relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And what was interesting is in selling it within my father's business and going on the road and going into many different companies, I had the gift of observing all different styles of leadership and noticing how often people are imprisoned by each other and the poor ways we can show up with each other.
Mm.
And then also what happens in a thriving environment when there's respect for each other and care with each other and nurturance in the space, and how different those environments feel to us, and the difference they make about how that it impacts our own lives. And so that, I think, between the two, between somehow seeing the connection of all things and feeling this relationship to wholeness with life itself, through nature, and then as you were saying, Fidel, as you hit it right on the head, the way my father valued and cultivated relationship and how congruent he was in all corners. So he didn't just treat his family that way, but he didn't treat his family any less honorably and lovingly than he treated, his friends either. Like, and he treated his bankers the way he treated his employees, the way he treated his friends and his family. Like, there was a congruency to his respect and his regard. And
sounds like a man of great integrity, too.
Yes. And
Well, I met your mom, and she didn't seem like a pushover. She seemed very strong, very solid. I mean, she stood up. I remember her at the Slow Living conferences. She stood up and just said, where are the young people? We need to focus on the young people. And I really appreciated her being strong, about that and sharing that. But anyway, go ahead. So you had two very strong parents.
So let's go there for just a moment,
Yeah.
because thank you for bringing my mother into this space. And I know how fortunate I am, because I grew up in a family where there was love and friendship with each other, and they were partners, and she was a great sounding board for him with his business, and they raised us to to honor, to hopefully have self-worth and to honor our individuality, and so definitely that has, again, had an impact on me. And so instead of running businesses, I decided that about 12 years ago, I did get cracked open myself. I did actually, when I left my father's business, I went to work as president of a manufacturing company in the ceramics industry for a couple of years, and when I was complete with that work, my father died during that time. And when I was complete with that work, I thought I was taking about 2 or 3 months to rest, before determining, what I was going to do next, whether I was going to run another company or what I was going to do. And it ended up being over a year that actually happened, and I got cracked open at a very deep level. I think I really just had my own next level of spiritual growth or growth of consciousness, whatever types of words we try to put to these things. And I spent a lot of time in silence and listening very deeply to how I can be most useful with the gifts I've been born with. And then out of that time came the foundation of my business and my work, Global Roundtable Leadership. And I started by supporting individual leaders who care and who wanted a place of reflection and a place of growing on the inside while also growing on the outside. And I think that I had the good fortune of also being able to read a P&L, and understand business language and looking at the strategy of what people are building, but while also supporting, some of the inner workings and growth of spirit and consciousness and making and really being a place where people can have that support of remembering their own beauty and their own artfulness and being nurtured and also being congruent between their words and their actions, because I think so often we care, we genuinely care, but we don't always have the strength of our actions being connected in right relationship to our words, that we're not consistent.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, Lori, you took this time, to really look inward and do some soul searching, and you found that you had a calling to work with people on an individual level to help them birth or to help them empower their own visions. And out of that came the Global Roundtable Leadership?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, actually, the name came first, and then. But what was interesting is, as I was working one-on-one with folks, my own name, Lori Hanau, was used more. The people were relating more to me, one-on-one than they were to the business name. And then, more recently, in the past few years, I started to be asked to facilitate groups. And that's taken a number of different forms. For instance, one of the ways is that I'm the community builder. I'm a faculty member in the Marlborough MBA program, Managing for Sustainability in Brattleboro, Vermont. And I support, how the community comes together there of staff and faculty and students, and how we grow well together while we're also learning and teaching and, with each other.
I looked into that program. Looks like a wonderful program.
It's an extraordinary program, and I mean that. It's this little gem, and I say little because we're in our fourth year, beginning our fifth year, and it's so it's been such an honor again to be a part of a startup of an academic program, and it has attracted just again a lot of I guess whole system thinkers and. But people who, are open to looking within and while studying and working and teaching together and realizing that we all impact each other's lives and we impact how we grow, the qualities with which we grow and develop.
Right.
And so there's this regard and respect. We start in circle on the mornings of our intensives, and there's a way that we work at how we work together, at how we solve issues together and creative challenges, and that we are all committed to cultivating the community with our own presence and to showing up, and we don't leave that to each other, but we know that we need to bring our full presence.
Well, when I was there at the Slow Learning conference, I had the privilege of meeting Sean Connolly. And very impressed with him. But the other thing is that, now, correct me if I'm wrong, is the Center for Creative Solutions under the Graduate Center at Marlborough, or is that an independent program not associated with the graduate school?
And so I want to be careful here because I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know that they're using the building, and I know
Okay.
that there are different ways in which partnerships are being built.
Well, we'll have to get Sean on and maybe Betsy too to talk about.
That would be so wonderful.
Yeah, that's what we would have to do.
And Ralph Mima, the director
Sure, absolutely.
of the business school. It could be a really wonderful program to have, and maybe even a student or two, to have on.
Lori, I'm going to have to interrupt. We're going to go to a station break, and we'll be right back. Hold on.
Absolutely.
Okay, we are back. Fidel Moreno.
Susan Jameson.
And we are with a very special guest, Lori Hanau of the Global Roundtable Leadership. Lori, you there?
I am right here.
Okay, thanks for hanging in there. So we're having a great discussion here. Lori, so we're talking about the influences and how you moved to start working with people. But let me throw something in here for us to look at. So when we're talking about, facilitating this innate or this inner strength, vision, artfulness, gift of people, and we're also talking about a collective mind, because you were talking about, that you're an adjunct faculty over at the Graduate Marlboro School.
Yes.
And that you bring people together and create community when the intensives happen.
Yes.
So because obviously we all have different vibrations, different visions, and different missions, how do you bring that together? How do you bring people together and inspire that process where people can really feel safe? Because I know Susan, it's one of the discussions that we've had, and I remember very well Susan talking about the importance of people feeling safe in order to really be allowed to tap into those places that they can bring who they really are and all the gifts that they have to the process. So maybe Susan, you and Lori, how do you facilitate that, Lori?
I think that it's one of the things that I notice in our current culture is that we've gotten very identified with our roles and expertise. And not that there's anything wrong with that in itself at all, but without remembering first and forward to come from our humanity, and that in our humanity, when we're born with these original natural gifts and talents, and that may or may not be a part of our expertise, in our roles. So we're often, I think we've become very over-identified with our roles, and in a way that can create power dynamics within a group of people. Like in the hierarchy even of people.
Right. So we should do away with CEOs positions?
Yes, yes. And even in the case of Marlboro, student to faculty, that sometimes how do we show up honestly and authentically, and as you said with Susan, that feeling safe, and to bring our best to bear and to bring our true voices and our honesty and our authenticity and our full heart then. And so I do believe that in my own presence, I think I hold so deeply, first and foremost, our humanity. And so it's how to come in and treat it and have people remember that we're equal, that we matter equally, that all of our lives, matter equally, and that we are these unique snowflakes and these precious gems, and that when the diversity, when we come together uniquely, in that beautiful diversity of a mixture of people, that it all matters together, equally. And so I think of that as the social capital of a group. And so what I often do is facilitate that awareness first and foremost, is inviting people to remember us first in our humanity and to share our human stories with each other, and to agree to be willing to be equal learning partners in our humanity. And that when you combine that, the social capital of a group, a group coming together, honoring its diversity, honoring its differences, and coming together as equal partners in life, then that's a way that it brings balance to the roles, and to where there can be hierarchy, and it creates a more open, honest, authentic, vibrant, diverse colorful, creative, wise environment in my experience.
So, Lori, thank you so much for that. Certainly our world right now is poised for an unprecedented transformation. And I fully believe that if our humanity engaged all of what you just shared with us, we'd be moving. You know, really, it's a movement, the way I see it, from our adolescence as a species into our adulthood. In other words, moving into a more mature, universal spirituality.
Yes.
And you bring that to the table with your global round table right off the bat, it seems.
Absolutely. You just absolutely are spot on. Is that how to not be overt in a way that is respectful, and where we invite each other, you know, and what's I'll tell you, Susan and Fidel, that over and over with groups, when I'm opening up the space, you know, or whether it's a retreat, you know, whether it's a strategic planning retreat or a group of people coming together for whatever reason.
Okay, we are back. Fidel Moreno.
Susan Jameson.
You're listening to Good Medicine every Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. And, there's a lot happening. I know that we've got the powwow coming up, the 6th annual Rock, Rattle, and Drum.
So if you haven't yet, save the date.
August 13 and 14, down on Route 7 in Lanesboro, Mass, at the base of Mount Greylock. Over 30 Native American arts and crafts vendors, and there's going to be a Grammy Award-winning traditional flautist and singer, Northern Cheyenne, Joseph Firecrow. And we also have Wolf Cry, an incredible all-women's native women's hand drum singing group. We have the Aztec dancers, and who else do we have?
And for those of you who don't know, natives and non-natives are welcome. Mm-hmm. There are intertribal dances. There are certainly dances where Indians are wearing full regalia, you know, so you can watch that, but you can also participate in intertribals. There's going to be plenty of wonderful food, which is always important, and lots of music, lots of drumming, lots of opportunity to have a great afternoon with your family.
And just want to let veterans and families of veteran spouses and children of veterans know that every Native American powwow, as part of the Grand Entry, has a very special program of respect and honor during the invocation and Grand Entry for veterans. So we have the Chapter 65 of the Vietnam Veterans of Massachusetts, coming and doing a very powerful ceremony again for the soldier that never came back. So. And
as we've been discussing with Lori, it's so important in these times to connect with nature, to connect with one another, to connect with Mother Earth. And this is a wonderful opportunity to do that, you know, at this Rock, Rattle, and Drum powwow. You can really feel the pulse of the drum. Iron River is going to be one of our drums for the entire powwow, and there's nothing quite like the heartbeat of Mother Earth on a powwow drum.
Mm-hmm. And the dancing, all the way from tiny tots all the way up to elders, and all the different categories. So please come on out. It's really a beautiful thing. Native people from Canada are coming, Oklahoma, Arizona, and so we're going to have a good time. And I just want to let people know, to remind them that if you want any information, you can go to healingwinds.net, healingwinds.net. That's August 13 and 14, Saturday and Sunday at the base of Mount Greylock. Beautiful place. Anyway, we'll be back with our special guest, Lori Hanau of the Global Roundtable Leadership. We're getting into a good conversation. We'll be back. All right, we are back. Fidel Moreno and Susan Jameson.
WBTN AM, Good Medicine.
Every Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. All right, my God, the creativity doesn't stop here at WBTN. I never heard John in the shower. Now I can say, John, is that what you sound like in the shower? Okay, Lori, you're back with us. We have a very special guest, Lori Hanau of Global Roundtable Leadership. So, Lori, we're talking about transformation. Susan, we were just mentioning that all kinds of things are happening on the national level too, as well as the global level. So you know, Lori, there's beauty and power in what you bring, and we want to celebrate that. As you were saying, we want to celebrate that in everyone that comes to a circle, you know, with a certain focus. And I know, you know, Susan and I have been doing some work through Native American ceremony. We recently have been doing the Red Road drumming meditation over in Brattleboro at the Stone Church, and we're going to be there this Monday. And we're also doing something over in Chatham, New York, at Sunnyview Farms on 1,500 acres. And, you know, we've been engaged in ceremony for probably, how long, Susan, since I've been out? I mean, I've been engaged in ceremony for 25 years, but I know Susan's been involved in a body of work, too, for many, many years, over 30 years. You know, it's time to bring all the first cousins, brothers and sisters together. And I know, you know, too, Susan, you just graduated from an interfaith, interspiritual seminary. And I know that you have a strong passion about bringing an interfaith, interspiritual, you know, collective together. So how can we, you know, start connecting the dots and bringing people together? I know that, Lori, you know, your focus with the Global Roundtable Leadership, you have something that you're doing now through telephone. Is it through the internet, or what are you doing specifically? I know you're doing some interesting things that way too.
Yes.
Technology.
So that initiative is called the Roundtable Initiative, and I'm working on that with my partner Brian Bradley. And we wanted to keep it simple on purpose, and so we're using the phone. And people are there's actually up to 12 people at a round table who come together once every 3 weeks for an hour and 45-minute phone call, but where we say that it's possible to collapse all the boundaries when we show up committed to the quality of our essence. And so it's a practice of presence. It's a practice of cultivating certain qualities in order to develop our own presence. Because when we talk about this awakening or this transformation, you know, this time that we're in of great potential and transformation, you know, again, what is it we're going to create? And I think that the whatever it is that we create is also a part of how we create it. It's, you know, what is the how? What are the qualities that we're cultivating? Are we cultivating the wholeness? Are we in ourselves and in each other, as you say, bringing everyone together, right? You know, honoring that wholeness and that the diversity is a part of that wholeness. And so what are the qualities within ourselves that we need to break away from? Some of the habits of conditioning we may be in that maybe have us see another culture or another class or another person as separate from us and outside of us, or, you know, so how do we learn how to embrace and trust the genius of our diversity and to see us as all being missing parts of the same puzzle, and that when we embrace that and come together, that there is a wisdom and a greater potential for creativity and wholeness that can take place, and a transformation that can take place. So I'm sorry, I rambled there, but what I want to say is I believe it begins with what we're cultivating inside of ourselves, and then how we bring that to bear. And so the roundtable practice is a group of people who don't know each other's stories, but are committed to the qualities of curiosity and care and trust and generosity and courage and integrity and balance and positivity, and we come onto the calls trying to really embody those qualities.
So how long do you take to bake that cake? Sounds like a wonderful cake. All those wonderful qualities. How long does that take to bake?
It's a 6-month practice, but I want to tell you that when we began, Brian and I spoke to each person one-on-one to receive their commitment, because I do believe there's something about the qualities with which we begin the conscious intent, which we begin any action, and that the more consciously, the more with intention we begin, the more mindful we are, and so we received each person's commitment to what they wanted to receive from this 6-month journey, and how they were committed to show up. And then when we had the first collective call, it was remarkable. The level of wisdom, the level of wit, the level of common sense, and the conversation that arose, that emerged out of our commitment to show up stewarding certain qualities. That there was, I'm going to say these are my words, but there was a holiness, there was a genius, there was a beauty to the space of these people that never had met before, didn't know each other's stories, and yet the conversations that we engaged in were deep and meaningful, thoughtful, kind, and wise. And it's kind of building muscles. To me, it's kind of building spiritual muscles, of developing more deeply, more consciously into the very qualities that we want to see on the earth, in each other.
So, Lori, when you gather this way, so consciously and present with one another on the phone, are there particular issues or challenges that you are coming together to explore or to transform, or what is the intent of the actual calls?
Yeah, and so what's interesting is because, and I don't know whether it's a part of being American or whether it's a part of the adolescence. I'm not sure what the mixture is of consciousness that has us go directly to outcome, and what is the work we're doing. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but to me, we're out of balance with considering how we begin and what are the qualities that we begin something with, and how do we begin to meet each other before and to cultivate our presence before there's any other form of doing.
Oh, I understand. So that is the purpose within itself.
So the purpose is to really embody more and more these qualities of spirit, in a way, of these qualities of care and curiosity and openness, and practice staying within those qualities. And then what's interesting is we do have practices. We have 3 different practices. And one of the practices is to never diminish for the 6 months that we're together, when we're out in the world, when we're with our families, when we're at workplaces, that we are committed to not criticizing or judging or diminishing the spaces that we're in.
Yes.
And so that's a practice. And that one practice out of the 3 practices that we have is just cracking people open.
Yes. This is a disciplined practice, and it's very important. We certainly learned in seminary that practice, daily practice, is what sustains the work. It's
essential.
It's essential.
It's essential. And then even seeing how often unconsciously we bring drama to a space, we bring intensity, we bring pain,
fear,
diminish the space.
Well, these are the times, I believe, Lori, that no matter who we are equally, that which isn't serving us is coming up to be dealt with.
Yes.
So there are parts of us, we may come together, but then there are parts of us that may be exiled or somewhere in the shadow, they're not expressing themselves. So it's important to allow those parts to voice themselves so there can be more wholeness and integration. And though when you have a set of ethics or a way that you're anticipating behavior to be, then what do you do? What happens with those other behaviors or those other parts of self?
And so what starts to happen, and Susan, I thank you for what you just brought up, because it's not about denying our shadow or, at all.
Right.
But so often we will be in conversations where the shadow is there, but to what end? Is it there is it there in a way that's committed to healing and moving through the shadow into a more evolved healing state? Or is it there just to remain there? Like how often are we in our 40s and 50s and 60s still talking about the wounds that we did experience as a child? Like, what is our commitment to genuinely heal and be whole?
Yes.
And to see ourselves as sufficient, and to have conversations that are taking place from a place of our sufficiency.
Yes.
And I think so often our conversations are more about the wounds and more about the insufficiency. And again, there's nothing wrong with that per se, but it's just that I think we're so out of balance with also developing the muscles and cultivating the framework that we're whole and that we're sufficient and that we're enough and that we can heal, and to be committed to that healing journey.
Let me present something. And first of all, thank you for bringing, this information, because I think a lot of us look at, okay, how can we transform? How can we transform from the inner? But how can we also transform in community? How can we transform as a society? You know what happened over in the Middle East? You're aware of what's going on.
Yes.
And again, the technology just spread, and people started talking, people started congregating. So how can we support? How can we inspire? How can we incite? Some sort of a positive energy stream, creative love energy stream into those places that are. I mean, everybody's reacting to everybody. We see what's happening in Syria. We see what's happening, over in thinking I'm missing it now, but Gaddafi, Libya. What's happening over there? Is there some way of creating a bridge and sending some of that energy or engaging some of what's going on in Africa? I mean, how can we start engaging? I'll tell you where this comes from. It comes from, our beautiful brothers and sisters who are very much about sustainability and green. But yet we have, at the same time as we have this beautiful, intelligence and wisdom moving forward, it's like it seems to be sometimes in a vacuum, and we're not bringing along, our brothers and sisters that are in the inner city or poor rural populations. So I'm just wondering, how can we take this powerful dynamic and start to move in those directions?
I think it's Susan, I'd love to hear what you have to say, and Fidel, even you too. But for me, it's like be the turtle. That wherever we go, our home is on our back, and so where are the places we choose to show up?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I often again hear of sometimes. I want to be so careful because I don't want to be disrespectful. But again, I sometimes when I hear even peace activists speaking in a way that's, pointing the fingers out at others. Again, I think that where are we ourselves not in the state of wholeness? Where I think the work is so inside ourselves, and the more we work on ourselves, and the more that we work consciously and practice as larger and larger collectives of people, then I do believe we build amplified fields, But we've got to start with where we are, whether we live in a city, whether we live in the country, whether we live here, whether we're in Libya, like wherever we are. That's why it's so important that we know how much each and every one of us matters and how much we count equally. Because I think that there is a helplessness that's going on, that people think that they don't matter, that there's nothing that they can do, and I think that there's nothing further from the truth than that. And that the more they bring their own best to bear is when we will really start to shift the world. And I know that there are many people in the kind of the sustainability fronts who believe that through climate change, like there's a lot of loss that's going to come, and that it's going to possibly come, through breakdown, right? But
right.
I also think that this is available in every moment, that it is our human and divine right and responsibility, is that in every moment it's available for us to turn towards our wholeness and sufficiency and work at the places of our own shadow with honor and with love and with joy and courage, because it takes a rigor, it takes a real strength, and then to gather in groups, however we feel called to gather, but more consciously and with intent, and to not break down the space, like for each and every one of us to do our part of not diminishing that space, but to bring our best to the space that we can bring. That's the best answer I can give you.
Well, Lori, I am, and we are so excited to meet you, even over the phone this way. And I know this is just the beginning of a long roundtable discussion because it's simple on one hand, but it's also quite complex.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a history of our species that goes along with all this, but as individuals and relationship in communities, in towns and cities and nations, and ultimately globally, there is a transformation based on what you said earlier of remembering, who we really are,
Mm-hmm.
remembering our connection with soul and spirit, remembering our connection with Mother Earth and even the stars above. And that is something that the indigenous, the Native Americans, which is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about working with Native America, but then also understanding that everything is a reflection of consciousness. And everything is within us, and we are ultimately just one, which is so extraordinary. And we also understand that we're moving out of, and I'm not saying this in a negative way, I know it was all purposeful, but a shattering that occurred in a chauvinistic society where there have been lies we've bought into.
Yes.
But like you're saying, without judgment, we're understanding that it was purposeful, and now we're going to find new creative ways because what and how it is now is no longer serving us. So we're going out a little kicking and screaming, and I'm all for people who are willing, the willingness, but then the commitment, which you speak eloquently to transforming that commitment, to remembering and to being one with self and having all those beautiful qualities you've expressed.
Yes, one with self in all things. And that when that's invited, I do want to name that when that's invited into a group, it's amazing to me how quickly the spirit, the maturity, the emotional maturity of a group amps up, how rapidly we rise when it's genuinely invited.
I see this and experience this with young people. Susan has witnessed some of this, and this is, I guess, where my heart is too, and it's really wonderful that we're all plugging in and connecting on the different levels that we are. I know, Laura, you're doing a lot of work in the private sector.
Yes.
And Susan, is looking, and now, Susan, I want you, before the discussion is over, to talk about the Abrahamic reunion that you envision. Because I think where I'm coming from is, we're going to be participating at the Big Up Festival, July 28th, 29th, 30th. And they're having over 60 bands. It's for 25 and under. And I've been asked to build and design and build a Healing Winds Teepee Village, where we're going to be working with young people who are interested, who are asking those questions about, who am I, why am I here, and what if? Yes. So I'm very interested in connecting young people, in this same mind frame, this higher mind as I will speak to. They're giving me 30 minutes on the main stage on Saturday night.
Phenomenal.
To speak about the higher mind, and it certainly isn't going to be about the buzz that's on the external, but the buzz and vibration that's on the internal. So I would love to look at how we can all move, and support each other in that way. Go ahead, Susan, you wanted to...
No, I was just going to say, I think your work is so important, too, because we recognize and witness in the physical reality we're in a duality. So the polarization in our world has increased and increased. From the sublime to the ridiculous, literally, that ridiculous.
Yes.
So holding both so we can move beyond it in a masterfully way. I feel that you're doing that with your work. So, we want to thank you for that. And at some other time, we'll share how, I think we're going to...
Yep, don't go away, Lori. We'll be right back. All right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yesterday and today, all the hits, 1370 Bennington's Mix. At work, in the car, at home. Bennington's Mix has the variety you've been looking for. All the hits from yesterday and today. 1370 WBTN, Bennington's Mix.
Okay, we are back again with Lori Hanau of the Global Roundtable Leadership. We're going to finish up the conversation here a little bit. Susan, you were saying something. Lori, did you want to respond to some of that? I know both Susan and I are very passionate about moving humanity forward, but also, looking inward and
it's only going to happen if you look inward and do that work, and that's what I believe Laura is saying as well.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go deep within ourselves and do that wonderful practice.
And connect with one another.
And it can be done collectively. And even when people come into the school, they say there's some kind of magic here, and that's beautiful and that's lovely, and I do believe there is a quality of magic, but it's also that we're simply not used to a group being in a high form together. It's more rare, but it's so doable. It takes a rigor, it does take a maturity, it takes an ongoing, pure commitment on everyone's part, but we're so capable of this. We're so capable of greatness, and we're so capable of this transformation happening in a conscious way that's collective.
A number of years ago, I heard someone say that we talk about the speed of light, but this person shared that we're going to be transforming at the speed of relationship.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's what we're doing here.
Yes. Yes.
So let me ask this question, Lori. If people want to get a hold of you, people want to contact you, how can they become more aware of what you're doing and possibly invite you to their space to see if you want to facilitate some work in their business environment?
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much. And so a website that is being it's being built and added to as I speak, but the website is globalroundtableleadership.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then my email
mm-hmm.
is also Hanau, HANAU, at GRT, Global Roundtable, so it's grtleadership.com.
So I have one last question.
Yes, of course.
There's many questions, but for today's show, there's one last question, and that is, so what is the next step? Once you bring, like what you're doing now, bringing these people together and creating this, unified, positive energy with, the higher collective mind, what is the next step that you want to activate? Where do you want to move this collective mind?
Well, I don't want to actually move it. It's interesting. I feel that when we build that environment
mm-hmm.
of the quality of the how, it impacts the what. It impacts what different groups and networks and organizations
mm-hmm.
that I work with, what they're doing, and the quality of the visions that they see, and the quality of their creativity, and then a healthier, more effective, efficient, profitable way that they have outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And so just, to me, I just want to be cultivating these qualities of, what I think of as the good, the true, and the beautiful
mm-hmm.
everywhere, just wherever it will be useful, wherever it will serve.
Sounds like a film festival that Susan and I have been wanting to do called the Beauty, Truth, and Harmony Film Festival. But it's good. It's very good what you're saying. Very powerful. And I guess what I was saying, what I was asking is, where is the Roundtable Leadership going with this initiative then?
And so we have more roundtables that people can join
mm-hmm.
to do the virtual roundtable. I'm facilitating in a number of different groups and networks and organizations,
mm-hmm.
and I've been invited to set the tone as I was, Fidel, where you and I met at the
right.
Slow Living Summit in Brattleboro.
Correct, uh-huh.
And so, and it's my one-on-one work, supporting people one-on-one.
Wonderful.
And so we're, on our website, we're going to begin this fall to blog and write some articles on social
mm-hmm.
capital and human capital. And so there'll be some more writing, which is new.
Oh, that's good, because I have a couple of books I'm going to ask you to contribute to, possibly, if you resonate with the letter.
Oh,
I'll share that with you later, yeah.
Thank you so much. And so those are the ways that the work continues to unfold. And Fidel, thank you for bringing me back to that with more clarity.
You're very, very welcome. And as always, anytime you want to come on the show, and I really feel like there is a medium here for you. And I really want to support you in looking at, online and having your own internet radio program, because I think people would be very, very interested in engaging with you and listening to what you have to offer. I know that Susan and I are going to be talking to some other folks, and I shared with you a little bit about wanting to bring some people together from different backgrounds, interfaith, interspiritual community. But you bring the private sector, I bring youth, but also Native cultures and different indigenous wisdom traditions, it would be powerful to bring these collective energies together and see, what can be birthed from this.
Oh, that just sounds so lovely, and yes, ideas are bubbling in me too around you and the show, and all kinds of things are coming in, and so I thank you for naming that. Again, it's such a privilege to meet the two of you and to work with you and share with you in this way, and with everyone who's listening. And as the Hopi elders say, right? We are the ones we've been waiting for. And,
that's right.
And so, I just want to keep bearing fruit there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do not look outside of your community for leadership, right? It's right there.
That's right.
Thank you so much for what you bring to people. Lori Hanau from the Global Roundtable Leadership.
Oh, Susan and Fidel, you're
so
welcome, and thank you.
Absolutely.
You again.
Well, an honor to spend this time with you. I look forward to much, much more.
Give your staff our regards. Ellie and Michelle, give them our regards. They've done a wonderful job. Thank you, Lori.
To be continued.
You're so welcome. Bye for now.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right.
Very special woman.
Lori Hanau
Looking forward
from the
to meeting her.
Global Roundtable Leadership. Yeah, no, she had some very positive things to say, very powerful insights.
Very important.
So...
I'm grateful for this time, yeah, thank you.
Again, anybody listening out there, if you also have and share a similar vision and facilitate a practice that really amplifies the inner power and vision of who we are as human beings, please give us a call. Love to have you on the show. And, alternative healers, please feel free to also give us a call. Good Medicine every Friday from 2 to 4 p.m. with Fidel Moreno.
Susan Jameson.
You can go to our website, healingwinds.net, if you want some more information on the work we do. And here's Randy Wood, some round dance songs for you, Native American contemporary and traditional music at its best. All right, we are here, Fidel Moreno.
Susan Jameson.
Good Medicine every Friday from 2 to 4 p.m., contemporary Native American traditional music for you all.
And it's so wonderfully cool at WBTN AM this afternoon. I'm forgetting about how hot
I know, we're going to be out
outside.
there in a couple minutes, so
yeah.
You'll be reminded quickly.
So I hope everyone is staying cool.
Well, remember,
this afternoon.
folks, that there is some emergency relief for anyone suffering from the heat without air conditioning, especially our elderly, the elders. Red Cross has set up a cooling station at the Rescue Squad building at 120 McKinley Street in Bennington. So it's open today, Friday, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. And I just want to let you know, a nice lady called in reminding us to remind you, and Susan, you may be interested in this. I know you like tag sales.
I do. Tag
estate
sales, estate
sales,
sales, all kinds of sales like that, sure.
So, at 111 Valentine, from 9 to 1 tomorrow, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., nothing over $3. I think this lady's got something on the dollar store. Nothing over $3, and many things for 25 cents. So she called in and wanted us to announce that on our show. So
and I know there'll be more announcements like that in the next program, but
right.
She's got a heads up here.
After what is it called? 4 to 6 show. The 4 to 6 show. Hold on, folks. I know there's some loyal listeners waiting for the 4 to 6 show, and that will be
great
on.
Music and fun discussion too.
Absolutely. Well, I want to say thank you, Susan, for coming up and being patient and being a good person that way. Good person to co-host this show with. Even though you're my wife.
Well, it's been very interesting. I feel like we're just beginning again.
Again.
Right. And actually, there's a wonderful film I'll tell you all about more another time. It talks about a woman by the name of Marion Woodman, a psychoanalyst who was married to the same man 4 times in one lifetime. Because at one point she was just done, and either he was going to change or they were going to change together, or it would be over.
She was on rewind, huh? Stuck on rewind?
Yes.
Okay.
But they became new.
Anyway, here we go. Thanks for joining us. Take care. All right.
Have a wonderful week. Susan Jameson.
Good Medicine.